Did you watch what I did to it?
No, I haven't got a chance to. All right. Happy Friday, VV Nation. Happy Friday. Let's get started. Whew. It's been a week in the markets, to say the least, right? We can see the homepage here, the advanced market timing. All of the signals are currently down. So today we're going to be a little bit more on the defensive side of things. At no surprise right now. So give everyone just a moment. The alert should be hitting here in just a second. And then we can get started. Let's see here. We got unicorns for life in the house. I like that name. We got Daniel Berman here. We got Jake and Lee. Unclear for the very near term. Yeah, Lee, I think the market's trying to still decide if they're going to let the China woes. And well, now we got new woes today, right? The banking concerns. I saw the two banks. Of credit concerns, but I mean, it looks like the banks turned back around this morning. I'm not sure where they're at right now. We can take a look at it. But one thing I will say is utility stocks have been on a tear lately. I don't know if anyone's been looking at utility stocks lately, but they've definitely been doing well. Now, the major indices, they were in negative territory. It does look like we're trying to claw and find a level of support here to sustain. Let's see here. Hi to my VectorVest family. Oh, thank you, Alfreda. I like that. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. All right, let's get to it. As we all know, the market timing signals have gone down recently. They've been going down one by one, but now the confirmed call signal is down along with the DEW, the green light buyer. And the primary wave, at least on the intraday, VectorVest 7 was flashing up earlier this morning. So we'll see if that primary wave can sustain, but a lot of volatility in the markets right now and not a lot of momentum to the upside. Market's kind of moving to the side right now. I had money in one bank in the news until this morning. Yeah, I saw the article, Troy, and then when I looked at the two stocks that were actually up today, I forget the name of the two banks, but one was like up 2%, the other one was up 4%, and that was around like 10:30 in the market, so not too long ago. Yeah, we'll see what they're doing now, but that is not the news. We do not need some kind of bank credit crisis to add to the list of concerns right now, especially with China and United States ramping up tensions, and then they cool it down and ramp it up. So we don't need any kind of credit potential for crisis there. But the market's not responding, too crazy on that news of those two banks. But yeah, Troy, if you got your money out of that bank, hey, I don't blame you at all. Don't blame you whatsoever. But right now, the market is going to be mildly bearish, right? We see the VectorVest composite lower, just about 0.25%. So, obviously we can tell the small mid caps probably getting hit a little bit more than some of the other stocks here. The Dow Jones up about 0.5%, leading the charge. NASDAQ struggling to stay in positive territory, along with the SPX here up just 0.25%. So just keep this in mind. Stay defensive right now. I'm not saying, go out and sell all of your stocks, but just look at the color guard. Right? I mean, I know the holidays are coming up soon, but it looks like a Christmas tree. We got red, yellow, green lights, a hodgepodge. But the only thing that I, am really seeing consistently over the last few weeks is the MTI moving its way down. Right now it's at 1.02. So we'll see how this week, really today, finishes out. But if we get any kind of late day sell off, that could put MTI below 1. Otherwise, if there's any pressure on the markets early next week, could also put the MTI below 1. Now, if the MTI gets below 1, historically, Where does MTI like to try to find a bottom? Around 0.6. And what I'm seeing is the market's moving to the side and the MTI is dropping to this 0.6 level. So as of right now, I'm in the camp of just a healthy pullback. Just a healthy pullback in the market, right? But still some potential for downside. So just keep that in mind. You see the declines, still dominating right now at 53%. The advance is 36%. So a little bit of a mixed bag there, but the decline's definitely taking charge. So again, just, be defensive right now. Not, saying any kind of major pullback. But right now the MTI is telling us that we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. And, there's still more potential for downside. All right, let's take a look at some stock picks ideas here. See what the stocks are doing. There we go. For this, let's start off with, let's do computer memory devices. We've been talking about these. These were two stocks I talked about last night. I believe it was last night. The Western Digital Corp and Seagate Technologies. Two hot stocks. Mixed bag today with these positions. Most of them are under pressure here. You can see Canaan down 4%. More of a penny stock. That stock has showed a lot of momentum. It's been very volatile as of lately. You can see Quantum Corp here down 4% as well. Data storage down 0.25%. So the only one struggling, stay in positive territory is going to be WDC. But two great stocks to have on your radar in general. You can see as of right now. Let's take a look at the charts here. This pullback has put the stock back in undervalued territory. The buy rating remains on this position. All I will say is we are seeing some rejection between today's upper wick, if I zoom in here, and yesterday's upper wick right at the 20-day, right? So if you think about doing some bottom fishing on it, wouldn't quite do it yet. I give up the extra $1 or $2 and let's get price action above that 20-day EMA. But if you're holding it, as of right now, we still got the buy rating. We got a nice strong support level around 210. So if price action breaks that support level and we lose that buy rating and go to a hold or transition to a hold, then I would get a little bit more defensive on this position, right? Seagate Technology. Looks like most of the damage has been done. These two moving pretty much in sync here, if you notice. This one's showing the same rejection at that 20-day level. So yeah, just keep that in mind here. 210. See, that was Seagate. Let's go Western Digital here. Here we've got the pivot off the 20-day. So that's a healthier move, right? That's a nice healthy looking at support on the 20-day, while now the other position is looking at resistance on the 20-day. So this one I'm a little bit more optimistic about. Again, the value is on the rise. Earnings per share steadily rising here. A little choppy, but it's slightly higher than it was a year ago. Still got the buy rating. Strong space here. This is the memory devices. One of the hot industries right now. Let's take a look at this fiber optics. This one has pulled back quite a bit. You see the stocks here still under pressure with their market timing signals going to a down. I'm not surprised these stocks are facing pressure here. You see Ciena Corp down 1.5%, VAV down 3.5%. Let's take a look at these because remember when I did the video, they looked pretty attractive, and they still do. I mean, look, even with the pullback today, I mean, the trend you can clearly see is to the upside right now. Value is rising. Stocks are overvalued. Earnings per share rising. I like Ciena. Here's VAV Solutions. Look at the value. The stock's been trading at a premium, not doing a whole lot in the first 6 months of this chart. Actually, pretty much was flat after that pivot to the upside. But look at the valuation. And you see value taking off. Look at price action taking off with it. Value currently trying to keep up with price action right now. Strong buy rating, even with today's pullback down 3%. Still looks like an uptrending stock. Earnings per share intact. Let's zoom in here. Looks like it's trying to catch right on that 8-day. You see that 8-day has been pretty successful for accumulation points in the past, at least over the last year, looking at this position here. Here's optical cable. That one looks a little too volatile. Not pretty on that one. Light path, not so pretty. That one, no. All right. Let's get out of those for now. Let's take a look at the premium watch list here. All right, let's take a look at the semiconductors. I know a lot of people are holding semiconductors right now. Micron, I mean, it's still hovering close to that high, just around $200 here. A little pressure on the position today, but overall, I mean, the trend is there, the value is there, the earnings per share is there. Still a big believer in Micron. Definitely going to be bullish on the stock overall here. Here we've got Advantis Corp. Advantis Corp consolidating now, just taking a breather. But look at that 20-day catching up to price action. Nice, healthy breather. I'd honestly look to see for price action to come back down a little bit more, maybe do a pivot off of that 20-day. If you get a break, maybe get a little bit more defensive. Otherwise, we do have a nice level support here around $106. But with rising earnings, rising value, yes, the stock's overvalued, but the value is rising. I do like this position. Here's AMD. I mean, after the gap up, kind of just looks like an ascending triangle right now. You can see the consolidation getting tighter and tighter, hitting that level of resistance right around 240. I am still of the mindset, AMD, I'm going to be bullish on it. In this OpenAI contract, I know, how the money is revolving around in kind of a circle. But if this is a successful launch for AMD, this could really benefit AMD. And put them on the map as, AI data center hardware provider if this is successful. So I think there's a lot of pressure. If there's issues, this is probably not going to be good for the stock. But the successful integration into OpenAI's ecosystem, this could definitely propel the company, much higher valuations for sure. And you can see the value. It took from $120 up to about $180, $60 in just the last year here. So I do like the pace that the value is growing. Zoom out here. Here's Lam Research. Again, just like AMD, taking a little bit of a breather here. You got a nice level support. Still above the 8-day moving average. I see a bottom wick right there. Buyers trying to come in right at that 8-day. Not opposed to the semis right now, but just be cautious. I wouldn't be much of a buyer right at this time. If you do, more of a small nibble approach per se, rather than just backing up the truck right now. But yeah, NVMI, I see rejection from yesterday's hit when it hit that resistance. ASML, not much movement since its earnings here. Taiwan Semi also taking a breather here. A lot of these semiconductors even taking a breather. But with Taiwan Semi's earnings, the profit surging 39%. I'm pretty optimistic when it comes to most of the semiconductor household names, the AMDs, the Microns, the NVIDIAs, things of that nature. Intel might even have some good things to say, just because with their partnerships, their government stake. I'm interested to see what Intel, and I think Intel's is later this week. Does anyone know? I'm almost positive Intel's earnings is later this week. It's later this week right now. All right, let's see here. Advanced Energy. Look at this stock. It's just soaring new highs. Look at the valuation too. Advanced Energy Industries. The market is not slowing it down. Just had a breakout a few days ago. Here's MKS. Undervalued position. Nice steady eddy, especially over the last 6 months here. Not a bad position. See if we can break above 140, get that next leg into the upside here. Here we've got Monolithic Power Systems. Again, lower left, upper right. Nice, steady eddy position here. Nice, steady eddy position. I like what I see with this. It is overvalued right now, but look at that strong buy rating. Majority of the semiconductors here aren't really showing, too much concern. We're seeing a lot of momentum to the upside still. Applied Materials jumped right up to our valuation. Went from about 160, 170 on the low. Nice little rally. Now it is fairly valued. So there had some opportunities there. But it looks like those good opportunities are behind us. Here's KLAC, KLA Corp. Again, lower left, upper right. I like that pivot. I see. Not a bad looking stock. Overvalued, but does have rising earnings per share. Broadcom, lower left, upper right. I don't like the fact that we've got a lower high in compared to the prior lower high. So I'm looking for right now in Broadcom is price action to stay above 320. Because if we got a lower high and then a new lower low, that would be the definition of a downtrend forming. But we're not there quite yet. So just be cautious if price action breaks below 320. As far as value still ticking up. It's getting closer to 240 now. Earnings per share on the rise as well. Look at the semis. Look, here's NVIDIA. And look at NVIDIA's valuation. Just won't stop. Getting close to $200 now. Price action currently 182. I don't like it. Broke this level of support here. I'm looking at the next level of support coming into play. And it's breaking below that 20-day moving average. So I'm seeing early warning signs of, potentially some trouble ahead here. As well, if you connect these lows here and draw a trend line, I'm pretty sure we just broke that trend line. So if you're holding NVIDIA, just be cautious of that. Now here's ACM research. Look at that undervalued position, price rising to meet value. That's why I am a value junkie. It just makes the trades easier. So you can see the stock became fairly valued, and once it did, then we saw a little bit of a wobble there. Right now, moving average is not in our favor, so I'm not going to be a buyer right now. Look for the pivot. As long as price action can stay above about $36, I would be bullish on this. But again, a lot of the big move has already been made. Now here's a nice one. On2 Innovation, undervalued. Price action still making its way up. You see the moving averages starting to move in a bullish manner here. This might not be a bad little dip. The stock's about 135. Here's Tolly. Ooh, nice body on that candlestick. Not too far from session highs. A little bit of a wick forming. Be careful of that. But I don't like value declining. I don't like earnings per share declining. This stock here, I would stick more to the technicals, not the fundamentals. The fundamentals aren't very good. All right, let's see. Let's go back to that premium watch list. What other watch list they got here? We'll take a look at some bearish ETFs in just a moment. Let's take a look at the gold stocks. Not that one. That is not the gold stock you want at all. Again, I've said be picky on your gold stocks. If you're holding this gold stock, please don't do that. So many good gold stocks. This one, here's silver. Aftermath silver. Dropping quite a bit. American Battery Technology. What is this? Interesting. BlackRock Silver Corp. But you can see the metals under pressure today. Free Gold Ventures down 7% as well. See here, I'm not liking that list. I don't know about the gold bugs list. Let's take a look at these quantum stocks. AMD, Google Mix, the big names up at the top, pretty mixed bag here. You got AMD positive, Google more so negative. I don't know, pretty mixed. Once we get into more speculative names here, we got Seals Corp up 6% today. I saw the momentum in Seals Corp. It was around 8% earlier today. Quite a bit. Seals Corp, for a quantum stock, I mean, look at this list. Not many quantum winners here. Yeah, Art, UAMY is down. IO&Q is down. Honeywell up slightly, 0.5%. LAE, I like LAES. They got a partnership with SpaceX. That's when I talked about it, because back here, before the big pump, or mid pump, somewhere in there is when I found it. Because that's when Glenn came across the quantum stocks. But you can see it's pumped before, came back down. We're more on the pump cycle now. Earnings per share, not moving in the right direction. Value over value. They had partnership with SpaceX. That's probably one of the reasons why you saw it pump before that, and just quantum in general was rallying quite a bit the last holidays. And now they announced a partnership with the Department of Defense. They're working with another company, a satellite company, do quantum defense semiconductors for satellites. So what do you think about gold mines? Why is gold and silver selling off so much? Well, let's address the gold thing. let's put in GLD, Spider Gold shares, right? Lower left, upper right. It's the main trend this whole time, right? And the VectorVest 7 software have a trend line, but look at the move over the last 6 months, right? I could definitely see a healthy pullback in the working for gold, right? And I think it's healthy for gold. Trust me, long term, I'm thinking gold is going up. But that is a bearish engulfing candlestick, potentially. We'll get confirmation on that come Monday. But yes, if that body closes below the body of yesterday, we get confirmation Monday. If you're more of a swing trader, hey, protect profits, right? But you can see the gold has just went from what, $320 to now $4,000 or $400 here. Big move in gold recently, right? So I'm thinking just a natural breather. You just gotta ask yourself if you're more of a trader in gold, if you're just stopping by, or if you're here for the long haul, right? But you see GLD down about 1.72% right now. And each gold stock is different too, right? So, you got stops on your gold stocks. Make sure you have a stop in place. And make sure, one thing that I when I'm talking to customers, a lot of people, they'll have, like a trailing stop or some kind of stop, but you don't really have an objective to the upside. Putting objectives to the upside is never a bad idea. Say you're up, just an example here, say I'm up 50%. I might take, a quarter of my position off. Say I get to 100%, maybe take the other 1/4% off, right? Now I'm working about 50% of my initial position. And we've talked about this thing with like using Midas touch to leg in and leg out of positions, things of that. But there's a lot of ways to play gold. But again, come Monday, if we get follow through with this, could be a little bit of gold pullback. And you see gold, just look at the 20-day moving average, how overextended it is from that 20-day, right? And you just see, historically, it likes to go back and, find its way to the mean to that 20-day. And that 20-day is right around 370. Let's see, where is that 20-day? 380. So about $9 more to the downside. So not a whole lot because the moving average is catching up. But as far as, miners versus gold itself, the miners are going to be much more volatile than the gold itself. So if you don't like volatility, stick to the gold. But yeah, as far as calling, we're Getty got down 4% today. Let's take a look at some of these here. Again, a lot of parabolic moves in these stocks. This one's an example here, just pulling back right now. Applied Digital. Be careful because I could go back into the gap. It's trying not to. IBM just dropped below the 20-day. That is not a good stock in general. Not a good stock in general. If you're a swing trader, I see the swings in there. Wipro, no, value's declining, and value kind of flat from last 6 months, but price is declining. I don't like anything like this. Atom, no. Quantum Sci, yeah, QSI, it rocketed. Look at that bottom wick. Follow through to the downside today. I can see it hitting this level of support clearly. Looks like probably about 210. Look for the pivot there. Maybe come Monday could be a potential trade. See if the market gets its act together. Honeywell, no. Looks like a lot of these quantum stocks starting to roll over here. This one was about 80. Now it's going down to 63. IONQ, you can see the value on these. Just be careful. And if you're in IONQ, I would draw a trend line from like this low here to maybe this low and see where that goes up. Because I have a feeling it's going to be right where we are now. And that's why we're seeing that bottom wick. That could be a good bottom fishing. But yeah, draw, if you're interested in this one, draw a trend line from this low to this low and see where that line takes you up. Because I have a feeling it's going to take you probably not far from where we're at now. But the stock's overvalued, earnings per share is falling, and that seems to be a common trend when it comes to some of these quantum stocks here. Look at this quantum one. I mean, this thing was under pressure. Now the sucker's at $1.80. Whew. This is QNCCF. You can see price action there. I do like the support it found right at this top here, the top of this candlestick. You can see today's bottom wick. If I zoom into a 3-month time span, today's bottom wick coming to final level support right there. I actually do like that setup. UAMY, no, not so good on the UAMY. But yeah, those are the quantum stocks here. Ooh, safest stocks with buy ratings. Now, these might be some stocks you want to look at just in case the market takes a little turn. Well, you see gold at the top of the list here. Eagle Mines, again, down 6%. Let's take a look at some of these gold stocks. I see just a pullback and still well above the 20, right? I mean, just look here. Perfect examples. Accumulation at the 20. Accumulation at the 20. Accumulation at the 20, right at the very beginning of this chart. So until we break the 20, maybe retest it from the bottom, I'm still going to be bullish overall on gold. And it does look like, buy the dip in gold opportunity could present itself here soon. Just like for this stock, for an example, right? Taking a breather, see if accumulating around that 20 is a good idea or not. For that matter, if all the tech stay out of China, that would be good for all. We'll see. Two golds I've owned are down over 10% last 2 days. Tough to keep them. Well, smack this. How much are you up overall in those two gold stocks, even with the 10% decline? Again, that's where I come into the mindset. When the MTI was at 1.5 2-3 weeks ago, kind of since then, since I've seen MTI trending down, been in the mindset of, protecting profits. I know gold kind of a little bit different because it's, kind of hedges some of that. But just seeing how overextended some of the gold is, again, it depends on the gold stocks. I wouldn't freak out too much, but just, make sure you've got a stop in place. Make sure you got to stop in place. I hate to see everyone make all the money on all this gold over the last few months, and then gold rolls over just, to retest a previous high. It could pivot back up, and it most likely will, but that's just going to add a lot of stress in the meantime, right? So I'm thinking gold's just going to take a little breather right now. Not necessarily a big breather either. MCore, I like this. I mean, look, it looks like a channeling broke out, retested right around in here. And you see a little bit more optimism to the upside. This is MCore, undervalued, rising earnings. If you're in it, hey, I don't see any reasons for concern right now. But if you're thinking about it, maybe that's an expensive stock. Just notice that, $700. Maybe let's see it get above 700. I mean, was it $17 away to get a sense of some kind of confirmation? And that's not much on a $3 stock, or sorry, a $700 stock. Google, lower left, upper right. Look at that. It looks like we get a breakout on Google soon. I mean, I like Google a lot. Look at that, 140, 280. I've been saying Google. Well, Google, NVIDIA, and Meta for the most part when it comes to the Mag 7. It's still gonna be my Mag 7 pick for the year. I mean, just because Microsoft was overvalued, but look at the value. Yeah, the tariff turmoil, but look at the value just rocking and rolling, price action rocking and rolling. I think we're going to get another leg up. And, that whole, what was it? The antitrust thing is behind them. As long as they pay Apple, I guess was, the deal, they can keep doing what they're doing. Google once again here. Again, just look out for that breakout. Buy like Google. Fix looks good. It was undervalued. It's trading a little bit of a premium. A little bit of a rollover in the mist right now. If I got a 3-month time span, you can see that. If we take out this low here at 796, I'd get a little bit more concerned. And if we approach that low, we might lose the buy rating. But right now, we got a strong buy rating. We got rising earnings. I like what I see. I like gold, but like profits more. Yeah, Troy, same here. Mining stocks made me a lot of money this year. Yes, right? You don't want to get caught holding the bag, because guess what? You're not the only one where gold has made a lot of money, Fox. And what are we seeing today? We're seeing probably some profit taking from that, right? Gold is just being overextended right now. Doesn't mean you can't buy back into gold, and even if you did have a loss because of the wash rule, guess what? There's 170, 180 other gold miners out there. The pullback on gold is necessary and healthy. That's what I'm thinking, Mac Daddy. I'm thinking it's a necessary, healthy pullback on gold. But yeah, just look at some of these stocks here. A lot of these stocks aren't really showing, signs of concern. Some of them are, but a lot of them are not. Fabernet, I see just a strong level of resistance there. Big upper wick, but still the momentum's to the upside overall. Here's Alamos Gold, another gold stock. I mean, look, it's right at the 20-day. So I went from what, $25 to about 35, 40, $35, $37 there. So big moves in a lot of these gold stocks, right? Still undervalued, right? If you don't want to sell your gold stocks, I mean, you can always do things like covered calls, protective puts, depending on, which direction you want to get insurance on. But overall, it just seems like another healthy pullback. If we start to see these gold stocks, here's another Harmony gold stock. Now, if I went through these gold stocks and all these gold stocks are either right at the 20 or, breaking the 20, yeah, I'd get a little bit more on the defensive tune, you could say. But right now, we're not seeing that. Look at the Harmony Gold here, still above the 20. Right now, it's at the 8, which seems, at least over the past few months, not the worst place to get into. Undervalued. I see a healthy breather, but what I also see is all these gold miners are well undervalued, right? So I think they still have a lot more upside potential. But yeah, they just jumped a lot. So naturally, the market's going to want them to take a breather, and then maybe we get ready for another jump, But I don't see any argument or, see too many people saying gold's going to be lower in a year. And let's just ask that question. Who thinks gold is going to be lower than it is? We'll just say $4,200. I know it's on the move. Who thinks gold is going to be lower than $4,200 12 months from now? I do not. Who thinks gold is going to be higher? Honestly, I could see it topping 5,000 this time next year. Or even before, depending on geopolitical concerns. But yeah, I'm still liking gold right now. Still liking gold. 8K is likely higher. Yeah, so I was being kind of conservative. But yes, now gold's got. So think about it. Went from 2,000 to 4,000. That's 100% move in gold, right? But now 4,000, 8,000 is just a simple 100% move in gold, right? So yeah, the moves in gold are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And trust me, I realized this ever since the 08 recession when I was a kid, when gold was, $200-$300 an ounce, something like that, jumped to 4 and then 5 and 7. Now we're talking thousands, right? So yeah, I think overall gold is a good one to have in your portfolio. I think we all know why. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. Look at this, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. Nice. Oh, you want me to share with you why I think gold is down today? And this is an article, and it's probably not the only reason. I'm going to say probably more so just general profit taking. But the national deficit actually decreased a little bit. I don't know if anybody saw that report. Anybody see that report? I've said it before, gold, Bitcoin, typically a hedge against, government mismanagement when it comes to finance. But I think that report saying, hey, the tariffs, think what you say about them. But because of the tariffs, yes, it did put a little bit of a ding. I mean, it's 37 trillion. I think it was only 100 billion. So when I say a little ding, it was a little ding. But if the government comes together with an idea with a deficit or a way to lower that deficit, that's probably going to put pressure on gold, right? Because everyone's buying gold right now because, let's be honest, $37 trillion in debt. Historical bull runs on gold from bottom to peak is 8x. 8x. Interesting. 17,000 by 2030 gold. Yeah, Ollie G, we've been using fake money, fiat currency, fiat currency. I didn't realize that as a kid what fiat currency was, but over the last 10 years, I know what fiat currency is, right? Everyone's hedging their fiat currency, whether it's, a Bitcoin, a gold, a housing, real estate. If you look at any asset since COVID, they're all just going up, right? Well, guess what? Real estate had to take a breather because no one, the buying of the house has slowed down with interest rates going back up, right? So yeah, assets, they got to take a breather. And Ollie G, calm it down or you're going to timeout. We don't talk those kind of politics on this channel. But yeah, Taiwan Semi, again, another example here, not to freak out from this, 10 years ago, Bitcoin was $500. Yep. And I just did a video on it. I think it was earlier this year, right? Said Bitcoin's going to 500,000. I definitely see that, being feasible. But again, I talked about it yesterday. Because right now everyone's adjusting their portfolios for the decoupling. Think about it. That's where the money's been made. The mining, the rare earths, the gold, certain AI, certain tech, right? Pretty much in an economic race with China right now. China they banned Bitcoin. They banned cryptos, right? So if China starts, leading the race per se, or as you will, against the United States, I don't think that's gonna be good for Bitcoin or crypto. You can Google it. It's been banned for a couple years now. So I see gold being the winner. Unless if the U.S. shows more optimism as the winner of this whole thing, yeah, Bitcoin will be just fine. But if you're talking about polarizing the global economy, and one side of that polarization is outlawing Bitcoin, or not just Bitcoin, but cryptos in general, that makes it for a tricky investment, right? Tricky investment. Not just gold. Ryan's beloved UAMY is getting its hand into it today. Tabu, I told you guys on the live stream yesterday, after market action, I saw Glenn Tuesday. He stopped by. Yeah, Glenn's got a lot going on in his life right now. And, he probably, he wasn't checking his stocks. Well, guess what? He owned UAMY and he was up over 600% with about 10 grand in profits. I told him to sell that sucker because I knew he wasn't going to be looking at it. And hopefully he did. I don't know. But yeah, the stock's down, right? A lot of people are just taking profits, right? People flooded into certain, protection categories, you can call it. Well, guess what? The protection categories are now ballooning and people are taking profits, right? So I'm not surprised by that. I'm not saying the ballooning is over either, because just looking at some of these charts, the only one I'm concerned right now is Bitcoin, but I do see a potential buy the dip opportunity on Bitcoin, especially BTC. I mentioned it tonight's 6 p.m. video, but it looked like it just broke a nice level support. But that being stated, some opportunities might lie ahead. So definitely check out tonight's 6 p.m. video. I sold, but when should we buy UAMY again? Well, let's take a look at the chart. I was saying before, I'm looking under $10. I wanted to get back under $10 before I jump in it. This time I'm jumping in it. I'm not letting you guys have all the fun. But there's that long-term trend line that I've been showing on every UAMY video. It's been reacting to that trend line. The last example, perfect example, around $6 when it catapulted, close to 20 or 20, somewhere in there. Troy says UAMY will bounce back or will be off the races. Keep being an eye on them. Yes. I'm of the mindset, like the rare earths, it's kind of like Bitcoin, right? Well, if you buy into it when it's hot and everyone's talking about it, well, you're probably buying on momentum, right? Don't get caught on the wrong side of that momentum, but all of those rare earth stocks are going to be on my radar for sure. And any type of good pullbacks I see, I would be pulling the trigger on those. Good pivot levels, good things of that nature. But a lot of those valuations, even from the valuation perspective, right, they've been overstretched. And I was looking at the UAMY. Ryan will be able to get into CAN also. Yes, I saw CAN. Troy, I think you and Alex talk about it quite a bit. Bounced from like 111 all the way up to it was like 180, $2, something like that, crazy. And now it's kind of making its way back down. I'm looking to see around 135 on CAN, see if it finds that as a level of support. I think it was around 135. I have to look at the chart. But it's a little bit further down. All right, see here we got Goldfields, another gold stock, right? Does that look that concerning? No, it's just a down day in the market. And look at this stock though too. It's had another big down day. What did it do last time? The dip buyers came in on gold, right? You saw the comment section. No one was thinking when gold was going to be lower next year, or lower than 4,200 next year. Everyone's thinking higher, right? But yeah, so just be careful. If you're in areas of protection, people are taking profits in those protection. If you decide to take profits in those, you can't be mad at taking profits, right? You can't be mad at it, especially a lot of these. Look at this one, just went from $20 to 50, and a lot of the stocks are doing this, right? So don't get left holding the bag. Here's Power Quanta Services. Had a nice potential for a breakout here. A little bit of a cup action, but just not quite getting out of its own way. It's more of an expensive stock. It needs to get up to about 450 for me to get really convinced of that one. Shopify, that's lower left, upper right, going up stair-step fashion. Earnings per share, it's just overvalued. But strong buy rating. If you're holding this one, again, not another stock to necessarily worry about being bearish, but just worry about your profits, right? If you bought it within the last 3 months, especially around 120, now it's at 160. You're up quite a bit, quite up $40, $120 stock, about a third, 33%. If I go to 6 months, probably even more, right? Not saying to, go out and sell your stocks, but you just got to ask yourself, where is your profit target, right? Where's your profit target? Even utilizing something like RT, relative timing, right? I talked about this yesterday, or no, Wednesday on the live stream. If you got your watch list of stocks, right? Resort by RT, relative timing. Because the ones with the RT at the lower end of the spectrum, probably the ones where, you need to pay attention to more, right? Those are the ones under pressure right now. Can hit 137 this morning, now 155. Dang it, Troy. See, look, I'm over here recording a 6 p.m. video. I could be making money. I knew it was going to hit 135 and bounce. Is it really, Troy? God, oh, man. I do miss trading. So I don't know if you guys know this or not, but before I got this position, I was on the support floor and I handled the night accounts, mostly the Australian customers, Western Pacific, things of that nature. So I worked in the evening, so I was able to trade during the day. That's why I like to trade a lot. That's why most of my guidance, you can tell, is more so from a swing trader's perspective. That's what I do. But I don't get to do it much anymore. Man, I'm about to dip my toe back in. Troy, he's dipping his toe back in. Troy, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The only thing I see is just MTI is on a steady decline. Just hit a new low, or reset new low, right? New swing low. And what I do like about what I'm seeing right now, the market's kind of just moving to the side recently, while the MTI is like refueling, getting close to that 0.6, right? So I'm not going to be too optimistic until I see that MTI a little bit lower. I just have a feeling it's going to go a little bit lower. I see the primary wave was up last time I looked, but I'm not too optimistic right now just because I see the overall trend kind of pulling back. I don't think the market's quite found its bottom yet. Or at least that's what's MTI is, essentially telling me right now. Especially if that MTI drops below 1, then I know we've lost the underlying trend, that favor for the bulls there. So then I would get in the mindset of saying, hey, well, if it's trending lower, right, now it just broke below 1, where does it historically like to find a bottom? The answer is around 0.6, right? Put it on a chart. Doesn't mean it can't get to 0.65 and jump back up, or break 0.6 and we sit down there for a little bit. But typically looking for green lights, primary wave up signals after the MTI, gets to those levels or approaches those levels. Those are typically what we call blast off or bottom fishing opportunities. The last one presented itself, I think it was around April, during the midst of the tariff turmoil situation. So again, just, don't be scared of the market pulling back. Just know it can open up opportunities going forward. Ryan Tabitha says, Ryan and Jim Penna must have been at the complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Yeah, as far as trading and guidance, but again, we're at two different points in our lives. Clearly, he was the retirement coach here at VectorVest. I'm more of a younger gunslinger kind of a trader. But I try to take a more of a, well, sometimes aggressive, but more often than not, I try to take a more prudent approach to it, try to aim for undervalued stocks, good fundamentals, but yet still find those swings in those good solid companies, right? Because typically the swings in those good solid companies typically can be bigger or longer swings, right? We can find moving averages on any stock, but VectorVest can give us the opportunity to find the right stocks for those moving averages or whatever technicals we might be looking at, right? And again, this is a perfect example. We see undervalued rising earnings. Again, that dip was around April. So if you're bottom fishing, great opportunity. Undervalued, rising earnings, safe stocks. That's the motto here at VectorVest, right? You see these opportunities working out for the most part, as long as you stay on the right side of the market. AMD, again, undervalued around the tariff turmoil, rising earnings here. Good opportunity. Now, here's Amphenol. This is an overvalued company, but I've said it before. If I get in an overvalued company, I'd like to see value on the move. And right here, I see it on the move. Value alone went from $50 to $90. That's a big move in value. Earnings per share went from just around $2 to now over $3. So up over 50% in the last year. Phenomenal stock to have on your radar here. Yeah, it's got a lot of momentum right now. If that's too much momentum for you, I get it. Hey, if it's not comfortable for you, there's thousands of other stocks to choose from, right? All right, 1244. I know. Let's get some of your stock picks in here before I keep just yapping on. All right, let's do watch list here. Don't type them in yet. Or actually, go ahead and type them in. Go ahead and type them in. Go ahead and type them in. APH has had accelerated growth of 20% EPS and revenue the last 3 quarters. It's a phenomenal stock. UUU. We didn't see that one yet today. I'm curious what that one's doing. Hood. Okay, I like Hood. Hey, but if Hood's taking a pullback or a breather, again, I'm not going to be surprised by that because Hood was like at what, $100 not long ago. Now I think it hit what, 200. You've heard what I've had to say about Hood. Of course, I like it for the long term. But yeah, some of these stocks need breathers. Some of these stocks need the value to start catching up to them, right? Otherwise, it's just a lot of speculation. A lot of speculation. Ain't it? All right, now everybody hit that like button. It is Friday, so hit that like button. We're about to go fishing. Hopefully there's some opportunities in the market with the stock picks you gave me today. We'll find out in just a moment here. All right, we got Meta, DRD. All right, I'm going to do the first 10 here. DRD. We got AMD, FMCC, AUPN. Let's do DeFi Technologies. What were the other ones? There's not that many. All right, if you got yours in already, I'm going to try to get it. Don't put any more in. NGD. CRD. I don't see MIS. All right. Oh, man, what happened to the stocks? Oh, man. Yeah, I got to redo them. All right, first 10. I got to re-put them in here. DRD, AMD, AUPH. All right, let's see here. Now we create the watch list. 1017. That was the first 10 to come across. All right, DRD, we got gold. Someone's worried about the gold stock today. That one looks a little bit more under pressure, $10. Look where it stopped at, right at the 20-day. I'd be hesitant to sell right at the 20-day, right? Because it's typically a time where we look for pivots. But look at the value. It is rising. Earnings per share is rising. You know, I'd give it a little bit more wiggle room. Look at this level of support here around $27. It's going to be right below the 20-day moving average, right? We still have the strong buy rating. It not lost its buy rating. So I wouldn't freak out too much. Yeah, it's a big bad candlestick. Yeah, but I'd hate for you to sell it right now and then that sucker just pivot right off the 20-day. So make sure you put your own stop in place. But that level of support around $27, that's what I'm looking at. Because I could see it now breaking the 20-day and finding some buyers right below that 20-day. But you can see the breather taking place, not just for today, but the last, 2-3 weeks now, the stock kind of moving sideways. Breather, right? Because just before that, we had a big parabolic move from 16 to $28. So it's taking a breather right now. I'm not surprised by that. Now, depending on what your threshold of pain is or what your volatility you're accepting, that is on you. But the stock's pretty volatile here. DRD Gold, pretty volatile. Here's AMD. Again, I see the pressure building to the upside. Just looks like a rising wedge here. rising triangle. You can see the resistance right at 240 and the lows coming in higher and higher, trending higher and higher over the last about a week or so here since the OpenAI deal. So I'm looking for pressure build up and a breakout to the upside. The only thing I see that ruining that, it would be the market. But I see the pressure building right now. Here's AUPH. That actually looks good. It's up today. See what it does on this 20. Because you see we're approaching the 20 right now. I'd hate to just be finding resistance there, right? See if we can get back above that 20. If you want to enter it a little bit, hey, just look at the prior low. But the stock's undervalued, rising earnings. It's up today in a down market, up 0.25%, holding its own. I like that stock. Here's Arista Networks. Ooh, thing's been off to the race from 80 to about 160. Strong buy rating now for quite some time. It lost it, but the buy rating actually just went back into place. I'm not going to be too concerned about this. Look at around 140. If it breaks much less than 140, then I'd get a little bit more defensive on this position. But right now we got rising earnings per share and value is also rising. Even though it's overvalued, value is rising. Now here's UUU. Way overextended from the 20. Where does it look like it wants to go? 20-day, right? You can see it jumped up this morning. However, we got an upper wick rejection at the 8-day. So right now it's closing closer to that 20-day. Be careful of this position. Wouldn't be in a rush to sell it now, especially if you just missed out on the $28, $27 price you could have sold at. If it breaks the 20, be careful. But I'd look for the pivot off of that 20-day moving average here. But again, it looks like just a breather, and look at the valuation. Valuation has not ticked up at all. Earnings per share has about doubled, but the stock has just been on a parabolic move, right? So be careful. I want it to stay above that 20. You can see the 20-day keeping you in the trade for the most part here for quite some time. When it broke, it showed a little bit of weakness, but came right back. If it does break this 20, I'd probably look for a level support right here. But honestly, I like these upper wicks right here. And that is matching up with this swing low and right where that 20-day. Yeah, this could be a nice pivot here. As long as the rare earths, collectively can find a bottom here soon, this stock could be looking for a nice pivot off that 20-day and that level support. Here's FMCC. We got the breakout above $9. Went all the way up to $15. And look at the retest now. Actually, I like that retest. Values on the rise. I did a video on this one before. I forgot. This was one of the top VST or top something stocks. It wasn't one that I found. It was one that just came across with VectorVest. But I like it. Look, values rising, price action rising. I like this pivot here. If you're looking for confirmation, let's just get price back above the 8. But overall, it still looks good. Here's Meta Platforms. Meta's showing some pressure here. Look at the $700 level. Keep an eye on that. If it breaks that $700 level, just be careful. But look at the value, right? I like the value on Meta. But for the technicals are not there, and it's not looking too well right now. This level of support here is getting hit more and more, becoming weaker and weaker. But with rising earnings, undervalued, I'd put it on your radar, but a little too early right now as far as buying it. Here is Hood. Hood looks like it's coming down to 120. Clear as day. Looks like it's coming down to 120. Not surprised by that. Big parabolic move. Actually, it looks like it wants to retest this. Yep, that's where it's finding support right now. It's from this prior swing high. So if it breaks this, it's going to come back down to this support level. But yeah, I want Hood to stay above this. Where is it right now? The low is 125. If it breaks much below 125, all you got left is just that support level at 120. Clear break of the 20. I mean, it didn't even... And what I could see happening with Hood, and don't fall for this, is I could see a pivot off of this swing high here, rejection at the 20, and then coming back down to the support. Kind of what I see happening. But again, I don't know. I like the stock overall, but the stock, we just talked about it. Went from $60 to 160. People are taking profits right now. Nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with taking profits. Just got to ask yourself what your goals were and where you're at with your stops price. Everyone bought at a different price. Everybody wants, some people are happy with 20%. Some people aiming for 100%, whatever it may be. But as of right now, I could see it pivoting almost like a little fakey, pivoting and then finding resistance at the 20. If it gets back above the 20, I'd be more convinced. But right now, as long as it's below that 20, it's going to be a little bit more on the defensive side. Here's DeFi. Values declining, prices declining. It looks so beautiful the first 6 months. Value rising, price rising. But the last 6 months is exactly what I don't want to see. And that's why you're seeing a bunch of sell ratings coming across the top. As long as that value is declining, I'm not even worried about what price is doing. The price looks like it wants to break that level of support and then retest these prior swing lows here, which that low is around 173. Right now it's at 202. So I do see more downside potential. I don't like the value. I want to see that value either flatlining or start to tick back up. But I don't think the damage is quite over yet. Here we've got Next Decade Corp. Not looking good for this position. All you've got left is a swing low here. Then after that, there's not much support over the last year here. I don't like earnings per shares falling, values falling. I'm not here for it. Be defensive on this position. I'm not a big fan of it. Not a big fan of it at all. UAMY earnings October 30th. Interesting. That's next week. Very interesting. Like I said, that UAMY, that's an interesting play right now. Hood was too. Where is Hood? I thought Hood was in this list, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, you can see the stock, $40. Yeah. Yeah, it's just got to stay above 120. If it falters less than 120, we could have more troubles ahead. All right, everybody. It's Friday. Come check us out in the community room. If you got access to the VectorVest 7 software, we got Thad doing the power hour today. I will be just in there, just make sure he stays on track, make sure he's giving good guidance. But I've talked to Thad quite a bit. So I know he's nervous, but he should do just fine. So everyone check that out in the community room at 2 o'clock. Do got the daily color guard report as well this afternoon. Just a heads up, next Thursday, Friday, the following Monday, Tuesday. That's the 23rd, 24th. Let me look at my calendar. I will be on vacation. Yes, 23rd, 24th, 27th, 28th. So I'll be here for afternoon market action, be my last one, and I'll actually be coming back for afternoon market action. So next Wednesday will be my last stream, vacation, and then come back that Wednesday. So afternoon market action will be fun, and I'm kind of curious to see what the market will be doing while I'm gone. But on that note, we are going to be out of here. Again, we looked through gold. Looks like healthy pullback. But it looks like the market is right on the cusp of bigger problems ahead, right? So the market needs to get its act together sooner than later. And I think the market's really just trying to figure out how this China situation, and as well, with the news now, with the credit concerns of the banks, even though they rallied back, just keep that in your mind. You never know what kind of developments can come in over a weekend, that's for sure. You just came back from vacation. No, I was in Vegas working with you guys. Didn't get to have as much as fun as people would like to have in Vegas. Right? So everyone, NBS 9% down, time to buy. Again, Ollie G, not much in a rush to buy because we see that MTI just making its way back down to 0.6 right now, right? So unless the stock really makes sense, unless the trade really makes sense, I'm going to be more bearish, right? I'm going to be more bearish. All right, everyone, have a good afternoon. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next